cooling solutions. Yes, we're very glamorous with our on-off switch on the fan being yank the cord. Well, here we are. It's about, let's see, almost a year later since first put together all these new rigs and set everything up. Mining Warthog. We mined Warthog right up until around the halvening, and that's when I decided to switch over. Started setting up, figuring it out how to set up, I should say, on AI hosting platforms. A lot of great options out there. I wouldn't say anything negative about any one of them because they are all getting jobs. Not always super consistently, but there is a lot of work out there on all of them. So it really depends on what you're comfortable with. If you want to run Salad, you want to run Windows, that makes sense. If you're a Hive OS user, you could be using you have Chlor, which I use, and there's some others. I can't think of any off the top of my head. Is it Okta that runs on Hive? I forget. Anyway, so once we got all set up on the Chlor, fairly straightforward. Once you do a couple of rigs, you kind of get the hang of it, and there's always problems when you're setting up computers doing stuff like this. Like even in Ethereum, I used to get reboots and crashes and whatever. But we've had no issues at all with the way I have everything set up here. Yeah, it looks janky, but I just don't bother doing cable tying because every time I do cable tying, I got to undo it again when I have a problem. So, everything's running good. We got no problems with the power supplies or internet. We actually upgraded the internet to 10 gigabit per second internal network speed here between the internet service provider and the switches I'm using in the hub. So what that means is we got no bottlenecks anymore, and I'm getting my full speed that Bell fiber provides, which is 3 gigabit per second. So not bad. That means I'm sort of ahead of the pack when it comes to my average upload-download speed for hosting jobs, and that's quite important. People look for that. They don't want your i5 with a 3090 and 32 gigs of RAM or whatever garbage, 100 gigabyte SSD. They need the whole system to be premium for good AI workloads. So if you're not getting rented, it's probably because your computer sucks. I had to sell a lot of stuff that was not of good quality. I sold off all my 4060 Ti's recently. It wasn't a bad decision. I got a good fair price, market price for all of them in a lump sum package. Sold them to a guy who builds computers, and kind of regretting it now after all this pump going on. The last 2 days have been very busy here. I've had to basically reflash every single rig, and there's another 12 in the garage on top of these. And the reason that happened is because, like an idiot, and I've already done this once, I set my my contract length in Chlor too high. So I end up with, being locked in for 1,000 hours. And when you're not getting jobs, you just need to look at the market and lower your prices. It sucks during those times, but it is what it is, right? So we finally learned now, after this will be the last time I end up reflashing everything over something stupid, because it's worth it. It took me 2 days to reflash everything, and there was a lot of silly problems because it's hard to, like, you have to think about what you're doing. If I have a job, I'm rented out, and I'm making, let's say, $1.70 a day, like on one of these 5060 Ti's, and then I lock it in for 2 months, I can't just pull the rug on that person. Or can I? Maybe it's not very ethical or fair, but it does not allow you in most of these services to change your price on the fly. You have to wait until the job finishes. And I think what happens is people, they'll just kind of keep it going, and if they see they're getting a good price, they're going to hang on to you as long as possible. So the only thing you can do is completely wipe the hard drive and start clean and make a new server. They must have some kind of fingerprinting that they use, because it's not as simple as you might think. The operating system just automatically will try to find its way back to being in that rig, and if you like mess it up too much, I've had it where you've got to do a full format of your hard drive and then reflash and completely reinstall. I have found a way around it, which I might put up in another video for anyone that's interested in how to do that. But yeah, so now we're just going to be smart, because now here, the lucky thing is they can rate your server individually and give you like a star rating or whatever, 5-star, 2-star, but it's on the server, not the host, which I really appreciate, because, you know, sometimes you really take a hit in your reputation by doing such a thing, right? I'm sorry, guys, like, you know, for anyone that ever got affected by my pulling the rug out, it's like, man, I'm sorry, guys, I need money to pay for all this shit. Pardon my language. So yeah, that's it. And yeah, power isn't cheap or free. So we've got quite a mess here to clean up again on my tables. Lordy. Well, we'll get her done. Profit-wise, I would say we're doing fairly well. Yeah, I was pulling in about $50 per day across all 32 rigs. 11 or 12 of my rigs right now are running headless, like this, just mining Zephyr. Or not that one, this one. But yeah, I got about 12 of them without a GPU right now. Again, due to the fact I sold all my 4060 Ti's. So we're going to try to replace with something good. And I think what I have to do is ultimately get all of my PCIe 4.0 motherboards sold off. I have good 7950X CPUs in them, but unfortunately the B650 boards I got are all PCIe 4.0, so any 50 series NVIDIA doesn't quite operate at its full capacity if I don't have good motherboards. So got a lot of work to do in that, and yeah, we just learn from our mistakes and push forward. But yeah, profits are pretty good. Like I said, $50 a day, and I pull around 6 to 7 kilowatts, 7 kilowatts at the maximum when when everything is working. And sometimes it's less, but yeah, so depending on your power rate, I mean, for me, it's probably around, I always have to transfer to Canadian to US dollars when I'm talking about this stuff, so I would say it's about $450 a month in power US, and in Canadian it's $700, $800. So, but we also have to pay tax on our power bill and all that. So it's kind of bad. Like I'm at like 14 cents, 13 cents per kilowatt hour US, after taxes and whatnot. But yeah, it's very expensive for power, but with this setup, it's excellent. Right now, we're making around $135 to $145 Canadian per day across the rigs. So I'm gonna take my power out of that. At the end of the month, I'm still left with like $3,000 profit. That's, this one thing is, you never can expect the profits to stay where they are, because stuff always happens, and it's all politics, and it's all sharks busy trading away or whatever, affecting the prices. But so I kind of like being here at the base of the food chain, where I can just get the money and take the profit. Yeah, I do enjoy holding chlor, and one of my recommendations for anyone who's made it this far into the video is to make sure that you lock MFP if you're renting servers out to people. The MFP will make a difference. You do have to wait a week if you choose to unlock it, so bear that in mind. But the increased rewards, depending on what your rig is, if you've got a really, really good rig, like a 5090, you're going to need probably between 70 to 80,000 chlor to get it on full tier 2. And that would give you, probably my estimate would be between 30 to 35% more per hour. So right now it's crazy. Like I've got mine, I just popped it up for $12 a day for my 5090 rig, and it immediately rented. And then luckily I put it for 2 weeks, so they can have it for $12 for 2 weeks, and then after that I put it up to 15. But yeah, I think that's a pretty awesome, man, to get the MFP in there. And I try to put it on all my rigs, at least to get them to tier 1. Because, I was getting an extra, across all my rigs, probably an extra $5 a day US from the MFP. So I really think I think it's good for chlor as a whole to do that. It's going to, when people hold on to a cryptocurrency by staking it, you strengthen the resolve of the chain, right? It's good for the coin, and yeah, we'll see. I'm hearing rumors they may do payouts in Bitcoin eventually, which that would just be awesome. But anyway, we'll see what happens down the road. And yeah, sorry, I would have shown my face, but I just woke up. I'm having my nos. Yeah. All right. Have a good day, everybody, and stay out of trouble. Later. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe. Haha.